Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Switching Stances, a combat sports podcast. We are a combat sports network. I am one of your hosts, Tyler, joined by my very good friend, Ollie, also known as Gaz, which is what I'm going to call him. How are you, my friend? How are you going?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm excited to be here. We've been prepping this and planning this for so long. I'm just so buzzed and excited. I've been sick all week. It's delayed the recording of this episode. But even though I'm still getting over it, we're here, we're excited, we're ready, man. Like, I'm just pumped to launch this with you and just get it going and show the world. How are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's weird. We've done a couple test episodes over the course of like a year.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
It's a long time coming, man.
It's weird getting to one that's going to see the light of day and that we know is going to see the light of day.
Yeah. Like, we did our first episode together, like behind the scenes, almost a year ago, I reckon.
Yeah.
And it was for, we were literally trying to figure out which card it was for. It was either for like the Whittaker Adesanya fight or it was for the Korean zombie Volkanovski. But I was away at Formula 1 that weekend. So like, I don't even know.
Shit.
Remember that?
That you were.
Remember you had to like not spoil me. Like, I was like, do not.
I had to like give you.
Yeah, just tell me if Volk wins. You know, and you were like, all you said was once it happened. I was nervous, even sitting in the stands, like watching the Formula 1 race. I was sitting there and you go, enjoy the race, Tyler. There's levels to this. And I was like, oh, sweet, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, I think I said, don't worry about it. Enjoy the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't spoil what happened, but I could relax knowing Alexander Volkanovski is the UFC undisputed featherweight champion.
And pound number one.
And now pound for pound number one, undisputed, without question, which we will talk a lot about in this episode of Switching Stances. But I do want to talk about, because this is a new venture for myself and for you, and a new world we're entering with combat sports and MMA. Obviously, we've both been around it a while. I've been around it 10 years of my life, more or less now. And it's just great to finally do something with it, but we've both come from a different community, a different space online, which is that of video games and movies and TV and sort of nerd culture, really. Like, I've had podcasts for years with within the Four Pillars with James, and as always, covering video games, covering fucking Marvel movies, and just general movies and things like that, and lifestyle podcasts on the As Always Patreon. Like, there's a lot I've done, and obviously there's an audience that's going to be carried over to this show right from the get-go, as well as our contacts within the MMA community we've made in the online space. But I felt like we sort of had to address this transition, had to talk about how we got here first. So people that maybe have come from the Four Pillars community and are checking this out, that I know there's a lot that love combat sports and they're going to jump on this and join the ride. But what this sort of network is to us, I guess I wanted to give a bit of the mission statement before we get into maybe the personal you and I, what we want Switching Stances to be as like a combat sports network, not just this show that's on YouTube and podcast services, but also within the online MMA community as a sort of community space to interact, to discuss combat sports. That includes boxing as well, and Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. Like, we're going to cover the news and follow the whole sort of realm of it. Obviously, MMA is both of our main sports that we follow. That's what we'll mainly be covering and breaking down. But when it comes to news and topics, there'll be that as well. But we've been a part of a lot of online communities, and there's some toxic shit out there. The video game stuff is something that's very embarrassing. You know that as well as anybody. But it's, you know, it can get dicey. It can get tough. But when it comes to the MMA community, I feel like there's a really good part of it, and then there's a lot of toxic shit within it too. In fact, it's one of the most ruthless online communities I've ever seen. I remember when I became a fan at first, I was like, these people are like, I'd click on the comments. Dude, 10 years ago, if you went on a Facebook post or like a Twitter post and you went to the replies of the comments, dude, that shit was disgusting, bro. It was wild, the sort of shit people were talking. It is way more civilized now that the sport's blown up the way it has, and people are the more general person, not just the caveman knuckle-dragging Neanderthals that founded this sport, much respect to them. But I feel like what you and I want this community to be is a place I think a safe place for like regular people to have conversations about the sport, break down the sport, and respect all athletes and respect each other. This isn't a place to be throwing shit at each other, and it's not like I spend so much time in the MMA community, and you go to so many different circles, and it's just fucked. And I think a place where we can be a part of sort of moderating it and bringing some light to it, I'd like to think, will just be a sort of difference for us compared to other spaces within the MMA community. There's a lot of amazing places, but I think carving out our own corner of it is important as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's rough. You look in comment sections of like fighters who've recently lost, and all it will be is pictures of them getting knocked out or choked out, or
it's a tough world
just insults being hurled. And it's rough. So I'd like to sort of steer clear of that sort of stuff. Obviously, like, we'll criticize fighters if there's things to talk. If there's things to talk
John
about,
Jones or Dana White,
yeah,
fuck those guys. But they're in the news, and we're going to talk about them. But I think for you and I,
for sure,
there's a way to go about it. And I think it's more of just respecting each other and just being regular people that can talk about the sport and love the sport and spread that sort of positivity, whether that be through fucking humor, some memes, just general discussion and caring about the sport. We don't have to like be assholes to each other. You and I are not drama people. We're not going to get involved in drama. That's just not who we are. And that's just what I think this space is going to be. And it's going to be fun to talk about MMA and cover these topics, and talk about the news and all that sort of stuff. And you're someone that practices mixed martial arts yourself and also is an up-and-coming MMA journalist and writer, and an amazing writer at that. So it's going to be amazing for this network and to see you grow with it and how you go as a person hosting your own show for the first time. Like, this is your first proper show you've hosted.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
very much
that?
so. I mean, it's going to be weird to sort of jump in this for the first time. I mean, I'm very new to writing about MMA. I'm very new to MMA generally. So,
well, why don't you talk to us about your MMA journey then? Like, how did you start? Where did it all come from? Should I go first because it leads into you?
Yeah. For sure, you go first.
I was asking you, and then I thought, maybe I should go first because this will make a lot of sense to the story. Well, I obviously, for those who don't know, started doing podcasts about video games and other things over 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago now, and had a YouTube channel almost 11 years ago covering video games. And it was around 2014 that I really got into MMA. And I'd watched fights before, and I'd been things. I grew up loving WWE and pro wrestling. So when Brock Lesnar joined the UFC, I remember watching certain Brock Lesnar fights at the time. I remember watching Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva 2 when Anderson broke his leg. Like, there's MMA fights and UFC fights I'd seen and watched and been a part of that sort of following, but just very casually, very from the distance. But it was 2014 I really sort of picked up into the space. And it was, for me, Conor McGregor, like the Dustin Poirier fights, the sort of first memory I have in 2014, and really going like, I'm really in on this sport. Like, this is really cool. And following the DC John Jones rivalry. And just within that, by 2015, I was like, I'm going to start training. And I probably did my first MMA class early 2015. And then over the past 8 years, I've had different phases of how much I would train, whether it's like I went to a gym twice a week or once a week. I did jiu-jitsu only for quite a few years, like once a week, twice a week, just for sort of fun. But just love the sport and practice the sport. Through COVID, got really into my striking. And then I sort of left in terms of training it, left completely for a good 12 months. And I was focused just on my health and running. And I did a half marathon, a triathlon last year. And sort of that was where my energy was going. But for the last 18 months, I've been full time more or less. And especially the last 6 months training hours and hours a day, every day for MMA, determined to fight. 18 months ago, I sort of went through this change in my life of things I wanted and realized that that's a goal I'd had for a long time. It's something I'd envisaged for a long time. So for me, for this network and this show, we're here to talk about MMA and our love for MMA, but I also want to follow and sort of chronicle the journey for you guys as a rider and someone that loves MMA and practices MMA, and also for myself, who I plan on fighting multiple times this year, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and MMA by the time the year's over. So I want to be able to follow that, putting out videos, vlogs, fight reactions. This channel's going to have a lot here on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast services, the YouTube channel is going to have a lot of video content. The social media is going to have lots of content there for you guys to interact with. So my MMA journey has sort of always been there in the background for the past 10 years. And I talk about it sometimes on those other shows I used to do, but not a lot. People know I was into it. I tweet a lot about it. But it's just something I've always been passionate about. And it's such a huge part of my life. And it just makes sense to finally move properly full-time into it. Like, every day I'm practicing this shit. It's just bizarre. Last year, I was still talking about video games, doing podcasts and other things, and my heart was here. My heart was already here. You and I have known we've been going to do this show for over a year, really. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, it's been around that.
We've known this is coming, and it's just finally, we were just placing all the things in place that needed to be there. I needed to leave my old stuff behind, and we could properly commit to what this could be, because I didn't want to half-ass it. I didn't want to just do a show with you when we could do more than just a show. We can have a network, we can do more, have a community that we build for MMA, for each other, for ourselves. And yeah, and that's my journey, I guess, into MMA, and the love for the sport. I've gotten to see a lot of UFCs live, thankfully, and just, fallen in love with the sport endlessly. I guess if I was going to say who my favorite fighter coming into it was Conor McGregor. Was the guy that got me started in those early days, and seeing his rise, becoming champion for the first time, then double champ, the Mayweather stuff, all that. And then getting to follow the Aussies, the Anzacs, sort of come up from where we had nobody really. We had like Kyle Noak, Jake Matthews, like Dan Kelly, like those are the guys that were fighting on the UFC at the time, and no one was ranked. Mark Hunt was the guy that main evented every Australian card. Now we have the pound for pound #1 UFC featherweight champion. We've had multiple world champions in Australia and New Zealand, and multiple title challenges. We have so many ranked guys. Like, we've taken over the sport. So it's just been it's a great time to be an MMA fan from my part of the world, and it's exciting, especially to start off this show with this card. It makes total sense for me. And you and I met, Gaz and I met through my online community that I used to run shows with, the Four Pillars, and you became a big part of that community. We've been good friends for a long, long time now. And you fell in love with MMA a few years ago. Do you want, so now your turn. Tell us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was in my first year of uni, and I was walking back from the shops, and I just had some of the old Kill Connor clubs, was what they were then.
My old podcast.
I was listening to them, and you were talking about McGregor Khabib, and I remember you used to get, I think you got a minute timed per
was that on
episode.
I thought that was on Clubhouse, or was that on the As Always podcast?
No. You had that on As Always. Yeah. You got a minute timed when you wanted to talk about MMA, because James didn't care at all, and I think you knew most of the audience probably didn't either. So it was just for you to get out your passion, and like the 3 or 4 people
mad that day. UFC 229.
Yes, it was when Conor and Khabib fought, and then obviously the brawl afterwards. Yeah. And you were talking about how...
That was 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I watched that. Yeah, I watched that with my jiu-jitsu coach and my like jiu-jitsu training partners, and we were I felt sick, bro. I hated it. I hated it. It was just like such a stain on the sport to me, and embarrassing that was the thing people were saying. Like a brawl outside the cage. I'm like, that's not martial arts, bro. That's just caveman bullshit.
But I think talking about it like that definitely pulled me in a bit more, because I think it sort of helped me see it less as just caveman brawling, and more as like, okay, there's like elements to this, and there's like unspoken rules, and I mean they are spoken, I suppose, but you know, there's there's sort of like a code in a way, and that sort of drew me in. And then the Joaquin Buckley knockout happened. That's how fucking new. I'm like a pandemic baby to this thing.
You are. That was like, there's certain waves people came into the sport. Conor McGregor was one, but I feel like he had multiple waves. His waves was over years. I was at the beginning of the wave. He'd just knocked out Diego Brandao in Dublin in 2014. He was about to fight Dustin. I was seeing clips on YouTube of him calling Dustin a pea head and a journeyman, and I was like, saw some video compilation of it. I was like, this shit's hilarious. And then just fell in love with it after. I was like, this guy can't do this much shit. There's no way he's that good. No one's that good. This is real. I'm used to WWE where it's all scripted. And then I see him knock him out, and I was like, this is insane. This is some pro wrestling shit, and I love it. And I was just in. And for you were in the other big wave, which was the pandemic, where Dana, full credit to him, got this sport back running fucking fast during that shit. Yeah. April 2020.
Yeah, it was whenever that Buckley and I can't remember the other guys, Kasanganai. Buckley Kasanganai sort of like caught the kick and did like a jump back kick to the face.
Yeah.
And that went viral. And so I went back and watched. It was in the prelims, and I didn't know what was going on, really. I didn't know that, like, the prelims were prior to another card. I thought it was just, like, a smaller card with smaller fighters on it. So I went back and I watched the prelims on Fight Pass. And all through the prelims were little adverts for the next fight, which was Ortega versus Zombie. And so
which was
I
at the
back...
end of 2020. That was like November 2020.
It was October 2020, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I went back and I watched through all of the Korean Zombie's career and all of Brian Ortega's career. And I watched Brian Ortega and I was like, oh my God, this guy's a wizard. Like, how does he do... I had no... Like, you can understand... On a basic level, you can understand striking sports. I think you can look at someone punch someone and be like, oh yeah, that's like, that makes sense. I see how he did that. You know, you can see someone kick someone in the head and you get it. Seeing him choke Cub Swanson and like hanging from his guard, like hanging in full guard from his waist, and then like drop down and readjust the choke. I was fucking baffled at how that worked. I was like, this guy's the best fighter ever. I've never seen anything like this.
Dude, I that's so funny that Brian Ortega was your first guy.
Getting into
the sport. I get it. I remember early into me being hardcore obsessed, watching a fight night in 2015. I was looking up to double check who he fought. Thiago Tavares is my first Brian Ortega memory. This is pre-Reebok era. This is when they could wear their shorts and have all the like their sponsors on it. And Brian Ortega got taken down all 3 rounds, but from the bottom was beating the piss out of Thiago. Like elbowing him. Thiago was bleeding.
Just dropping him onto elbows or something.
I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen anything like it where a guy that's on his back with a guy on top of him is winning the fight via striking. And he would just get dominant position. He would get himself in a good position to land strikes. And then he finished it by like TKO in the 3rd round. Crazy person to follow. But I understand because it's not, like you said, it's more than, and that's what's gotten you into the sport. It's being about more than the brawl. More than just, we love a brawl now, right? We love a fight. We love a scrap. But to know that there's more to this, that this is discipline, this is skill, this is thought, this is like a lot of mind into this sport, into this game. And Brian Ortega's a prime example of that because he's a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but the way he uses it is so exciting, so like cerebral that no one else really can do what Brian Ortega can do. And when you see him do it live, you're like, no way. This is different. This isn't just a punch and brawl guy. This is a guy that wins because he's more skilled than you in a way you'd never think of because he knows something you just don't know. You know what a punch looks like, but you don't know how a guy can come up with like a guillotine from standing the way he did that. You would never have expected that. To finish the fight that way, it's unreal.
Yeah, and like he almost had him in a Darth choke at one point, or it might have been an Anaconda.
Yeah.
And that sort of shit, where you're like, oh, he's got the arm in, but that's like choking him as well, and he's rolled to his back now, and they're like touching their heads together and shit. It's just, it doesn't look until you understand like all the moving parts, it doesn't look real. It doesn't look like something that would work. It looks like some movie bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It 100% does. And I think it's such an exciting person to have as your first guy. Even though he's Volk's son, which is fine. No, I love Brian Ortega.
Okay,
I fucking love him.
fine.
He's always been one of my... Like, when he fought Max for the first time, I was rooting for Brian. I was rooting for T-City. I was watching with my mate Joel, who I did jiu-jitsu with, and we were both like, sat there in silence after he lost. We're like, jiu-jitsu lost today. It's like, this fucking sucks. But we love Max Holloway too.
Yeah,
we love
for
everyone
sure.
except John Jones. So anyway,
Yeah,
that'll be a theme throughout the history of this show. John Jones fans, beware. This is not the show for you. You're not.
Yeah,
welcome
neither
here.
of us are particularly fond.
I would go as far as say I fucking hate the cunt, but that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. He's a scumbag piece of shit, but it's okay. He's a part of the sport. We have to talk about it because it's our job now. Will I sit here and say, if I was like, who's the greatest fighter of all time? I'm still going to say it's John Jones. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and pretend he's not as good as he is at the sport. Doesn't mean I fucking like the human being. I think he's a scumbag piece of shit. But that's just me. That's just my 2 cents. Anyway, we'll get into that over the coming weeks with his fight approaching. But that's exciting. And so what led you, I guess, from that point, you've watched a few cards, to... I remember following this journey. You would message me every day. I'm watching this person now. I'm up to this part. Every card that would come up, you would go back and watch the history of all their fights leading up to it. You were like immersing yourself in the sport. You were loving the sport. You were obsessed with the sport. And already you've been watching this sport for just over 2 years, bro. Not that long. You have picked this shit up so fast. You have a mind for it like no one I've seen that quickly when it comes to knowing what you're looking at. Because I send you a video of me sparring, like a random spar. I'm like, oh, dude, what do you think of this? And you're not going to come back with, you actually know what you're looking at. Yeah. And it's so nice to hear because you'll say things, I'm like, you understand what I'm doing. And there's so many people that just find, like, most people don't know what they're looking at. I remember hearing Israel Adesanya say that a lot. He's like, most people don't know what they're looking at when he's breaking down footwork and striking. I'm like, I get what he's saying. Because people don't understand the footwork and the foot position, or the hands on your feints, and everything together and how it works all together, the setting of traps. You get it. I've not seen that. I didn't know how to do that 2 years into the sport, bro. I've been involved in this for almost 10 years. Like, I know obviously now very well, but like it took me a long time to get that. And you get that. It's incredible. And it's perfect for someone that's an analyst like yourself and an up-and-coming writer. So what sort of... I guess what's your goals and ambitions with MMA as a sport and for yourself, and what sort of led you to that point from the becoming a big fan to practicing the sport, writing for the sport?
I think mid 2022, I was sort of looking to write something. I wanted to just get thought. You know what it was? I wanted to get thoughts out somewhere on Allen versus Hooker. And why? And I was like, why? Why did Hooker lose this? Yeah, sad one. Happy one for me. Sad one for you.
Sad one for me. That's what my boys.
But I just kept. I found this MMA Life, which is just like a forum, and began writing my like stuff, sort of long form there. And my first real like fight analysis piece was Oliveira versus Gaethje.
Yeah.
I think it was that.
Love
and and I was just like, what? These guys are both really cool, and it's such like a one guy's brilliant here, one guy's brilliant here.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very much like a grappler versus a striker matchup.
Yes.
And obviously Oliveira effectively knocked him out and then choked him. But no one was really expecting Oliveira, I don't think, to do that well in the stand-up when Gaethje was known for wading forward and smacking you. But Oliveira did everything right. Like, there's those fake teeps which sort of function to get rid of the calf kick and like stigmatize the calf kick, and every time Justin would go for it, 50% of the time he'd just swing into air and outposition himself and like fall over, or he'd get clipped with a counter. And it was just stuff like that where I was like, he's doing everything right to beat Gaethje, even if he's getting knocked down a couple of times. And also, like, him getting knocked down was very much, he got hit and he was like, oh no, I'm going to fall back because I know he's not going to come into my guard. He's not confident there. Which has been an Oliveira staple for a while, and it's a really smart. He gives himself like a boxing 10 count.
Yeah.
Just by being able to like chill on the ground and know that no one's going to come for him, and like the people that have,
someone's going to come for him.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. But Chandler showed no concern there, and he almost knocked him out. Oliveira fell to the ground, and then Chandler was like, "Sound, I'm here. I'm still swinging."
Yeah. It was just the clock,
and
really.
Islam obviously also had no qualms just jumping in there and choking him.
Yes, true.
But Gaethje versus Oliveira was the first fight where I looked at him and I was like, oh, this is a guy doing everything that you should do to beat Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
And I want to write about that because I think that's really smart, and not enough people are talking about that. I didn't think at the time.
Because not enough people can see it, bro. That's why we need you. That's why we need you.
There's definitely there's a solid community. I'm surprised more people don't write, to be honest, because there's a solid community.
Bro, the MMA community has been
Twitter.
for 10 years it's 20, 30 years now of Neanderthal knuckle draggers, bro. What do you mean they don't write? Most of them didn't know how to write 10 years ago, bro. Most of the people that fucking watched this sport couldn't read. What do you mean? Like, oh my God. With all due respect to everybody that watched before.
There's a good amount of people within like MMA Twitter space, who are genuinely fucking smart, and like there are some people are definitely like better at breaking down wrestling or grappling or this specific element.
Yeah,
and I find it odd that people will do long form for sure. But like I find it odd that there's so many people that do this long form tweet content and threads and stuff and don't put them out into articles. And just have them all in one place, because
I agree.
I think there's a lot of just like untapped like knowledge going out, because it's so easy to fucking lose a tweet, but I can link to my like where I've written all my stuff and it's all there, and I can just like pull that back and be like, oh yeah, I talked about this here.
Yeah.
And so I just want to take that and see where it goes, because I fucking love writing about this sport, and I love talking about this sport.
Do you want to plug yourself and who you write for?
Oh yeah, I do some like preview stuff for Combat Sports UK. I did, what's my most recent one? I did something on Cater versus Allen. I think it's been a while. Because the fights I write about keep getting cancelled or changed.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that was it. I did a preview for Gastelum versus.
Oh God, I remember this.
Imavov, which then
is just
didn't
why
happen.
would you even? Yeah.
I like Kelvin Gastelum, man.
Do you really? Do you really?
I do.
No one likes Kelvin Gastelum.
I like him.
Oh God.
I mean, look,
we don't even tolerate him. That's not nice. We just he's just sort of there. You know, I'm glad he's there. I'm happy he's there than not be there. But like,
you know,
in fairness, like one of my favorite fights of all time involved him. Him versus Izzy for the interim title is one of my favorite fights ever. It's fucking awesome.
It might be. I think I've got a thing where if I see someone involved in a cool fight for the first time that I see them.
Yeah. I get it. No,
I
just
attach myself to them, and I'm like, these guys are cool. And the first time I really saw Gastelum was him versus Whittaker. And that was a fucking Rob Whittaker masterclass.
And we love Bobby Knuckles here on this show. I'll tell you that right now. We fucking love him on this show. Everyone from Australia and New Zealand that fights, we love on this show. Just going to throw that out there.
I'm alright on Jamie Malarkey, personally. I think he's funny. He's one that I'm very happy to make fun of.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Jamie Malarkey.
But yeah, I'm definitely a bit of a fake Aussie at times.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. You can be an honorary Aussie Kiwi. I'm a citizen of both nations. So I can give that out. I can hand that out. I'm obviously way more Australian than New Zealander, but I am, my father's a Kiwi. I'm a citizen of the country too. Been there multiple times. Love New Zealand. Love Kiwis.
Mm-hmm.
So you're an honorary Anzac.
Thank you.
While you're around me. Just stick with me. And we'll be fine. Like, I've managed to somehow secure myself English co-host left, right, and center. I've done a lot of podcasts in my time. You are the fourth co-host of a show I've ever had on a permanent basis, and everyone's been English. That's been a thing. Well, no, that's not true, because if you count the Dynamite show, David, so that was 2 Aussies.
I was gonna say, and if you count the one you did with Jared on Patreon, which was the sort of spin-off.
They're like more of a spin-off thing. Yeah, true. Like, I've done things with obviously my mates here, but it's just funny. I've gone from one English bloke to another English bloke. And you and James have a lot of similarities too that I love as well. You're both very stubborn and very intelligent people, and I love annoying the fuck out of both of you a lot. So it's just great.
And you do manage it.
I do. I've always been very good at that fact. Ask every member of my family. Ask all my friends. I'm good at fucking bothering people if I want to.
Pushing buttons.
Oh, mate, I'm a button pusher. It's what I do. And I love to do it. But yeah, here we are. And I'm excited to get this cracking. And, you know, it's a bit weird moving on from the Four Pillars community into this space as well. And that's obviously, it's not just me that have hosted these shows. You were a big part of that community, and it was a big part of your life. I don't really know how I'm feeling about it.
It's weird for me from listening to you and James once a weekend, twice a week, you know.
Yeah.
You had fucking 3 shows that you were juggling at once towards the end of it.
Don't miss that. I do miss it, but I don't miss the amount of work it was.
Yeah, for sure.
I get it.
It's weird going from being a consumer of that to then sitting down and talking to you and being like, oh, people are going to see this, actually. This isn't just like a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, even though we would be having this conversation off camera, off microphone. We would still have the conversation. Which is funny. But now we're recording it. Now we're doing a show, and it's great. I'm stoked that we're here. It is strange to not be doing a show with James and the boys. I miss them. Like, I've been missing not talking to James every week like I do. In that way. I still obviously talk to all the boys, but I haven't done a voice call with them in a while. And yeah, it's just a bit odd. It's going to take getting used to. And I know James and I have done shows together for so many years. We had to have a conversation before we wrapped up to make sure we put in effort as friends afterwards, because our friendship could run because we did shows together. We knew we would see each other, but without that, we've never had to have that, put in that extra effort where it's not about shows. Yeah. So it's like, definitely need to be active in doing that, because, you know, James, Ethan and George are very special people in my life, and that community will always be in my heart, and I'll always be a part of it.
For sure.
And anyone from the community that loves combat sports, fucking, here we go. Let's go. And you want to see me fight? Stick around. You know, I plan on, you know, being on your screen to watch fight in MMA before the end of 2023. You know?
You better win.
Well, that'd be awkward. Mate, I certainly plan on winning. Well, this is what I thought about it. And it was a Dan Hooker thing. I'd already felt this way, but I saw, because Oscar Willis from the Mac Life debuted, had his first MMA fight end of last year, and he's good friends with Dan Hooker, and Dan Hooker said to him and gave him the advice, mate, if you're all the, like, should I tell people that I'm going to fight, or should I just tell them my second fight so I don't have that pressure? And Dan's advice is, if you're going to fight, you better be all in. So, and if you're all in, you're telling everybody, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, and I agree. That's how I feel. I'm like, because I've told so many people I'm fighting. I've told people I work with, people I fucking meet on the street. You know, I tell people. And I'm not afraid of it, because I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck if I get knocked out. It doesn't matter. Because I also know I'm one in a fucking very few that would have the balls to even do this. So whatever. Like, someone says I'm shit, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. What are they doing? They're not going to fight. And if they do, then I'm like, yep, fair enough. You got me. You've got to cop. You got to fucking take it, man. You know, if you're getting in there and you lose, you got to be able to take it. I got thick skin. I'm fine with that. I've been around this online space getting hate for a long fucking time. I don't care. Like, it doesn't faze me. It is what it is. Even posting a clip of me drilling, sparring, anything, I know is going to be scrutinized or has the potential to be scrutinized. And you've just got to roll with it. You got to know yourself. And I know me. I know what I'm capable of. I'm not going to be a fucking world champion. I'm not here to be a world champion. I'm here because I love the sport and I want to partake in the sport. And I know I've done it long enough and I know I'm good enough and I know I work hard enough to do well. Whether that means I just put on some really good competitive fights, but I lose, or I win some, lose some, or I win all of them. I'm not going to fight forever. I'll fight for a couple of years. Here and there, and just enjoy it, just challenge myself and see how we go. But I'm going to be following and be a fan of the sport, breaking it down and training it for a long, long time in my life. So I'm here to stay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this community definitely has a good amount of armchair experts. Like, oh man, did you see Volkanovski? Have you been watching Embedded?
Yeah, dude, fucking oath I have.
Someone took like Volkanovski's drills where he's like striking and then someone's like running in and trying to take him down, like the spider circuit.
Yeah, well, but also that's regular training for MMA. Hitting pads and doing wrestling rounds where you have fresh guys coming in and taking you down, then you've got to get back up and hit pads. It's super normal. Right. That's fight fitness.
Yeah, right. But people were taking that and were like, oh, can you imagine like the Dagestanis looking at that? How ridiculous Volk must look. And it's like, you don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what you're watching.
I haven't seen that because that is, you're right. They don't know what they're watching.
Yeah, it's just like, because that obviously that's like, it is like a weird, constant, frantic pace of like, you know, he's doing like 5 kicks on a pad and then someone's rushing in and trying to take him down, and they're just trying to get him used to like the transition between those two phases.
There is nothing, bro. I've run marathons, triathlons. I've competed in sports. I've trained fucking hard, dude. There is nothing harder I've ever trained than having to hit pads and then fucking wrestle people. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's nothing I've ever done that's harder than that. No grappling, no striking, no sparring. When we have to do in fighters training, and we do it every week. I do what Volk was doing. Yeah, well, he does it way better. I'm just more meaning people that saying people don't do that are fucking retarded. Sorry, R-worded. And for someone to say that that's ridiculous is insane. That is such a common thing to drill and train, and it is an important thing to drill and train. When we go to fighters training, and you'll hit pads, and you'll do a minute of pads, and then someone will yell wrestle, and you got a fresh guy that comes in and starts wrestling you, and then whether you've taken them down or you get taken down, a minute in, you'll get yelled, get up, and then you got to hit pads again. And bro, you have nothing to lift your arms and try to hit pads with energy, bro. Is fucked. It's fucking so hard. So Volk doing that, when I see them do the spiders, dude, I get so inspired because they go so much harder than I've ever gone. And I'm like, fuck, that is... People don't know how hard that is. People don't know the fitness required to do what Volk was doing there and to do it against the guys he was doing it to, as long as he was doing it, as hard as he was doing it. Because fucking I couldn't, and I'm fit as fuck. I'm fit as fuck. And I could not even imagine doing that. And the Dagestanis would be looking at that going, he's training hard. They're also doing that. I saw Islam doing that on Embedded as well. What's he talking about? It's bizarre. That's mental. It's mental.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's on about. Well, he's on about. They're on about. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
God, triggers me.
I'll send it to you after the show. I'll let you stew for a bit.
Yeah.
Do we want to crack into the news?
Let's do it. Let's get into the news, get into the topics, and then we will get into, of course, the fight breakdown for UFC 284 that's this weekend. And I'm going to also post on this channel, on the YouTube, my fight reactions. Me and my friends that'll come over, whoever that is. Probably Jared. So there'll be a few characters, I guess, on the channel here and there, whether it's like people from my gym. If you ever do your fight reactions, I do my own, and whoever we watch with and stuff like that. It'll be fun. So there'll be some good funny content on there. I've done a lot of filming reactions, and I'm a very passionate person, and it's I think a good laugh. So, I'm keen for that. But yeah, let's get into the news. Let's do it. What do you got?
Well, biggest one by far. Conor McGregor. He's coming back,
dude.
And he's coming back against the fight that I have been screaming for
you have
fucking ages. So long. I've been like, Conor versus Chandler is the one to make. It's winnable for Conor. It's winnable for Chandler. Make it happen. What do you think of the booking? Because there are some people that wanted it to be Tony. I know Kyle from Combat Chronicles was very much like they're both incredibly washed. Let Tony have a a big payday. He'll probably lose, but Conor's not much better, and he's not going to get anywhere in the division.
Tony would definitely lose that fight.
I agree. I don't think Conor's close to as washed as Conor is. I don't think Conor's washed
at all. He's just been on steroids for a year. He's not washed. He's definitely not washed. I
don't think he had the same sort of instincts that he once did. I mean, not to just jump straight on the back of someone else's analysis, but like Henry Cejudo did a really good bit about about overextension, and he like took the Alvarez clip where he's doing like the hook to straight combo that he catches Alvarez with.
Yeah.
And how he's appearing far longer than he is, and like getting inside really well and just catching Eddie by surprise. And you see him do that on Dustin, and he's leaning way out. And it's stuff like that where I'm like, he can win. He can definitely win ranked matchups, in my opinion. Yeah, at least before leg break. We don't know what he looks like with his leg.
No, you're right.
But I don't think he's the fight he was. I think he's lost the instinct. I think he doesn't train nearly as much.
Yep, agree.
I don't think he's that guy anymore. I don't think
he cares as much. How can you?
Yeah, I agree with that.
When he won that second belt, every goal he'd ever had was over. And he's a guy that runs and is motivated based on these goals. He had nothing left. He's like, let's go for the biggest fight of all time. Did the Floyd Mayweather thing. And then it was just sort of like whatever happened. Everything after that was, for him, has been pretty shit. Like, he sort of had the good comeback with Cowboy, and it looked like things were going to be amazing for him. And then the pandemic hit, and it just sort of fucked the whole Conor McGregor comeback. The pandemic fucked a lot of things. It also took away Tony Khabib. Like, it just... Yeah. It ended a lot of things. So it's just... There's a big what if on Conor McGregor's career, but at the end of the day, you're right. He's not the same as he was. The only fight I want to see, to answer your question, Gaz, the only fight I want to see Conor McGregor have is against one Nathan Diaz. That's the only fight I want to see. I want to see Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz 3, and then I never want to see either of them fight ever again.
Did you see that there? I think Helwani mentioned that they were looking at that for TUF. It might not have been Helwani. Don't fucking quote me on that. But someone was talking about the fact that there were talks between Nate and Conor's team regarding TUF. I don't know the validity of that, but that would have been fun.
Dude, it would have been way fucking better. Are you kidding me? It would have been the biggest fight of all time. That would have sold more than Khabib Conor pay-per-view wise.
I'd be inclined
with how big the sport is now, and how big Nate Diaz is, and how big Conor McGregor is. The third fight, the trilogy. Dude, 100%. Their first two fights were in 2016. The sport's like 10 times the size now. And at the time, it was the two biggest pay-per-views of all time. Yeah. UFC 196 and UFC 202. Holy fuck. Like that 202 card. Like those cards you just never forget. I'll never forget 196. Holly Holm, Misha Tate, to the Nate submitting Conor, UFC 202. Anthony Johnson, Glover Teixeira. And Anthony Johnson knocked him out in like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
like,
just like one uppercut.
Christ. Mike Perry, I think, got like one of the most brutal like elbow KOs, I think, on Jake Ellenberger from memory. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just like a sick fucking card, 202. And then the main event, obviously, one of the greatest fights of all time, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 2. That's the fight I want to see again. But if he's fighting Chandler, I think it's you're right. It's winnable for both. It's a good matchup. People, the modern current fan knows Chandler. You know it's going to be a banger fight either way. I think stylistically on paper, Conor McGregor should win well.
Okay, yeah.
That's my opinion.
My next thing.
I think Conor McGregor stylistically has beaten guys like Chandler his whole career. I think it favours Conor massively. I think Conor's got the more power. I think he's more skilled. I think he's faster. Honestly, I do think he's faster. He's probably not as explosive, but I think he's faster.
Yeah.
But I'm talking on paper from a Conor McGregor who we've not seen a lot of in the last 5 years. You know what I mean? When I look at Octagon time and what I can look at, Khabib, he went 4 rounds with, sure, but it was such a Khabib-styled fight.
Yeah, grinding.
I don't know what Conor looks like really from that, because he was on the defense the whole fucking time pretty much. Other than the 3rd round, by that point he's gassed. Then you've got the 2 Dustin fights, which he looked good in the feet. And Dustin Poirier, he's one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. Like, so I don't think Conor looks bad necessarily in those fights. He had his moments. I just think he didn't have the grit he used to have to withstand certain things he probably would have been able to withstand back in the day. Like, Conor was known, he had a fucking chin on him, bro. And I think he still does have a chin on him, but I don't think he has the fucking want as much when you've got hundreds of millions. You can get hit a few times. You're like, yeah, fuck this. I want to go home. You know what I mean? You're not sitting there like, I have to win this for my fucking family so we can make millions. He's already made the millions. Hundreds of millions, in fact. Like, it's
what you're saying is 10 and 10 contracts. Big fan. Pay the fighters peanuts.
Well, I would say
keep them hungry, Tom. Keep them hungry.
I would say the only way you pay fighters is if they win. That's a real blood sport if I ever saw it. No, I just mean, you know, get in, get rich, get out. That's Conor McGregor's words.
Yeah.
But he hasn't gotten out. He's gotten rich and fucking stuck around. And we know in the history of combat sports, when you do that, the longer you stick around, it only ends one way, and that's with your head on the mat, looking up at those lights, knocked the fuck out. Like, that's how it ends for everyone, unless you get the fuck out. Very few do. George St. Pierre, Khabib Nurmagomedov, like, they're 2 of very few people that made it to the top and just got the fuck out. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think, so I think on paper, Conor should win, but the Conor we've seen the last couple of years, I just don't know what he's got. I just don't know what he's got in him. Because I think Chandler's a phenomenal fighter and a great athlete, and in Conor's day, Conor's going to beat this guy. Conor's a better fighter in their primes, but again, you got an active guy that wants it, that's tough as nails against a guy I don't know if he wants it or not.
I'm pretty confident in Conor, to be honest. I think Chandler's hittable. Chandler isn't the type of guy that's going to be as fresh in round 1 as he is in round 5, which are the guys that Conor notoriously struggles with. As someone that also slows, it's going to be a real they're both going to plateau at around the same time, and it's just going to be downhill from there. I almost reckon Conor has more in him. I think Chandler might try and nuke him early and then be like, oh shit. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be 5 rounds. It'll be a pay-per-view main event.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't think it'll get to a decision. But I also don't think that it'll be a good fight in rounds 4 and 5 if it does get there.
Yeah, no. I think if I'm going to bet, I think Conor McGregor wins end of the 2nd round.
Yeah, I'd say within the first 3 for sure.
Yeah, I think Conor McGregor finishes him in the 2nd, or Michael Chandler finishes it in the 1st, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I just see Chandler getting hit with a straight whilst he's running forward with his hooks. So I that's all I can see when I look at that fight. I can't see Chandler clocking him and putting him out for the count. Yeah. It can happen, but it's just I'm struggling to visualize it.
Me too. It's a long way off. I think that will you watch Tough? I'm gonna have to watch this. I'm gonna watch it now. There's no 100% Conor McGregor, the king of the sports, back. And that I watched the first Tough. I reckon I watched every episode of was season 22 with Conor and Uriah, and that shit was fucking awesome.
Yeah, right.
So
I watched all of Tough 1 a while back, just for the history.
Oh yeah, I've watched them since, but at the time as they were airing, the only one I've watched as they were airing was I think the only one I've ever watched while it was airing was that Tough. Oh no, I did watch Joanna and Claudia, their one, because Joanna's my queen. I love her. So
I've only
sorry to my
only
girlfriend,
ever
but
watched.
this is my original queen is Joanny and Jacek. Because she'll listen to this, and then I'll hear about it. So that's the thing.
You have to explain that.
Yeah, no. I will have
just
to
put on the Zhang fight.
I've told you about UFC 193. It was the first UFC event I went to live. It was just Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. But the co-main was Joanny and Jacek defending the strawweight belt against Valerie Letourneau. And dude, I was sitting in the crowd. I was like, "Fucking let's go, Joanna! Fucking come on!" Every round, I'm like, "That's 4 rounds, babe. That's 4 rounds. You've got this. Just survive. You've fucking got this." Here's me in the nose fucking bleeds of a stadium with 60,000 people there. A guy turns to me and goes, "Bro, are you like Polish or something?" I was like, "Nah, dude." He like dead set thought I must have been Polish because I was just cheering for her so hard. There's like, no, I just love Joanna. You want to talk about fighters you watch fight and you fall in love with them from the start. When I saw her beat the fucking piss out of Carla Esparza to win the belt, bro, I was like, I love this girl. And then she fights Jessica Penne and gives that bitch a free nose job. Like, unbelievable stuff. Like, just elbows her, nose is bleeding. They're in Germany. Shit's crazy. Like, so good. So good. Anyway. I don't know how we got into that.
The only tough I've had available to watch for me when it's airing is Volkanovski versus Ortega, which I gave a go. I gave it like a good 5 episodes, and I was like, I don't want to watch it that much. I've got like so many other things I could be doing.
Yeah, I just watch like the social media clips they put out of like Volk and Ortega doing so. I forget Volk and Ortega did a tough.
Yeah,
together.
Same. I also
not even Volk can get me to watch Tough, and Volk's my favorite fucking fighter.
Nunes and Pena as well, which I didn't touch with a barge pole because Pena I find deeply annoying, and Nunes
isn't she like anti-vax and like believe in conspiracies and shit?
Yeah, she made a weird comment about when she won the belt. I think she is anti-vax as well. I think she did all that on Rogan, but. She made a weird comment when she won the belt about being like the first real mum who's to be a champion. About Amanda Nunes
adopted.
Nunes adopted her kid, which is like.
No, I think it's more like
you could have phrased that.
Amanda, like Juliana gave birth, whereas Amanda.
It is about that, but that's not what she said. She said, "I'm the first real mum."
Yeah, it's not a good way to say that, hey. It's not a good way to say it. It's a terrible way to phrase it. I know what you mean, but you need to be better at saying it.
Like, there's a valid point somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But you've not made it.
Yeah. Oh, dude. 100%.
So we're both happy with picking Conor there, quite confidently.
I mean, again, I can easily see Chandler winning this if Conor shows up looking like shit. You know what I mean? We just don't know. We never know. But on paper, prime for prime, pound for pound, Conor McGregor should win this fight, should win it well. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And the sport's always better when Conor McGregor's in it. I'll also say that. He's done some fucked up shit, but he's done way more good for the sport than bad. He's the opposite to John Jones. John Jones has done fuck all for business. He's just shit. Whereas Conor McGregor, this sport would not be where it is. We would not be sitting here right now if it wasn't for Conor. In spite of all the dumb, bad shit he's done. He's done way more good than bad for the sport. And the sport is a better place when he's in it. I just hope he represents it to the best of himself and not the worst of himself. Because the best of Conor McGregor is phenomenal. Both as a human being and as a fighter. But he also has a bad track record where he's shown the worst of himself, and the worst of himself is terrible, horrific for the sport.
Yeah.
So, I hope we get the best of Conor in the future.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he's going to be pretty respectful with Chandler, because Chandler has been sort of sniffing his nuts since when he was in Bellator. You know, he's always been like, I love Conor.
I think
Conor's
going to talk some mad shit, bro. I don't think he's going to be like villainous like against a Khabib or something, or even against a Dustin where he's bringing up wife bullshit. But I think he's going to definitely like just talk shit about how he doesn't give a fuck about this guy and he's like a pea-head dweeb or something like that. Or like, you know, I think he's going to like put him down a lot.
I think it might be more like the Uriah stuff, where it's sort of like he's prodding him and he's talking shit, but it's not like nasty. There's sort of like a mutual smirk between the two, and like
I can see that.
Good one.
I can see that. It'll be a bit more intense because they're going to fight, though. Whereas with Uriah, it's like, we're never going to fight. We're sort of just... Like, they end up being friends, you know?
Yeah.
One of my favourite clips was after the Hall of Fame announcement for Uriah and Conor and him running into each other, like, during a fight week or some media thing. And, like, Conor sees him and runs up to him and goes, "What's up, brother?" And then, like, they were hugging and chatting and... He goes, "Oh, lucky you retired then, huh? Because I would have got ya." And then Uriah's like, "I don't know." And then they just had a laugh and that was it. And I was like, fuck yeah, I love that shit. But with Chandler knowing they're gonna fight, Conor's different.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll have to see it, I guess. Yeah. I just feel like I don't know what Chandler will do, because I think Chandler's pretty fucking... I think he kind of loves Conor. I don't know what to do.
Michael Chandler, everyone that fights Conor loves Conor a little bit. You know? Especially the amount, you know what I mean? The amount of money they make.
Yeah, but there's like a difference between Eddie Alvarez, who was very much like, fuck this guy, I don't like him. Like, he's...
But I feel like it was after the Eddie Alvarez fight that everything changed where... Dude, you don't remember... Dude, back in the day when this all started with Conor, man, like, every fighter hated him. No one respected him. Back in the day, dude, when he was up and coming, you watched anything, bro, they're like, Conor's shit. He's just all talk, man. He's never done anything. He's not what he says he is. That was everybody. Whereas everybody now is like, well, Conor's the biggest name ever. Well, Conor's one of the best ever. Yeah, sure, like, he's not the GOAT or anything, but, like, everyone mutually respects Conor McGregor within the sport today for what he's done for the sport and how big of a star he is. That was not the case at the time. That took so many years to happen. So, like, back in the day, even Eddie Alvarez, I feel like, was the last one. Khabib was different because that's a real world hatred. That went beyond the sport. But, like, how it was with Cowboy and Dustin, their second fight, like, that's now. That's new. That's very new. That, like, you can't talk shit about Conor. You can't say he's shit because he's not. He's a 2-division world champion, one of the greatest to ever do it. Sure, he's not in his prime anymore, no doubt about it, but everyone should be like Michael Chandler is, except for true OGs that have fought him and been around from his day. If Nate Diaz talks shit to him, I get it, because that's Nate Diaz, and they're from the same era, that's, you know, and they've come up against each other. RDA came up same era. RDA's talking shit. He's like, I'm the vet. Fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's people that I'm like, I get why they want to talk shit to Conor because it goes beyond. Sure, I don't give a shit what you've done for the sport. I've been around as long as you. You want to talk shit? Fucking let's go. Whereas the new age of fighter, Michael Chandler's he's been around a long time, but only been in the UFC a couple of years. Those are the guys that appreciate Conor. Those are the guys that are like, well, Conor's great for the sport. Whereas within his division, that's when you have people that sort of hate him. But they sort of have to be from his era, if that makes sense. Whereas if you see a 22-year-old in the UFC coming at lightweight, they're going to be like, I started training because of Conor. Like, it's different.
Yeah, but you can definitely, I think as a new fighter, you can definitely look at Conor and be like, oh, he's off his head all the time. He's, like, wasted his fucking potential. Like, he doesn't train. Who gives a fuck? He's washed. I think you can totally be like that as, you know... as a new elite. Well, no, but you totally can as a new elite of lightweight.
I guess so.
That guy. You can totally look at that guy and be like,
I feel like you should just say thank you, Conor, for allowing me the opportunity to be here because I wouldn't be. Yeah,
but you like, I don't know if like Arman Sayukian
who knew is talking about Conor? It would make no sense, bro, unless they're like Khabib's best mate. It just doesn't make any sense.
I haven't heard him speak about that, but I've got a feeling like Gamrot, Dariush. I mean, Dariush would probably be alright with it, but like Gamrot, Sayukian, fucking Kitataladze, like those sorts of guys. I've got a feeling.
Bro, you just made up some names. None of those are real people. What are you talking about?
Oh, you fucking filthy casual.
I'm just joking, bro.
Fucking won't even talk about...
Dude, the new era of UFC fighters that are from like all these like European, Asian countries is so funny that I'm like, man, these names are so much harder to pronounce than they used to be. It just used to be all Americans and a couple of Brazilians. It was so much easier back in the day. And now I'm like, I can't even pronounce who the fuck's in this division. Even when I hear
it's not exactly fucking Stephen Thompson anymore, is it? It's fucking like Shavkat Rakhmonov. Yeah. I get it. It's a different beast. I sort of think though, if you ask those guys for real, they all are like, we love Conor, and if Conor would fight us, we would like wet ourselves. They only would hate on him if he's getting opportunities they would want. You know what I mean? I agree with that last. Oh, dude, because hey man,
bro,
get a title fight. If he fucking sparks Chandler, he'll get an Oliveira fight, or he'll get a title fight. Yeah.
If Conor McGregor knocks out Michael Chandler, you give him the title. You give him the title shot.
Yeah, 100%.
Bro, fuck everybody else in that division. You give him the title shot. You want to talk about best for business? Like, they don't need Conor McGregor anymore like they used to need him. But fuck, they want him. You want him there. You want him in big... Conor McGregor versus Islam Makhachev. It'll be against Volk because Volk will win. But, like, just the idea of an Islam Makhachev Conor McGregor fight as a follow-up to we don't get a Khabib 2 fight. Like, that shit... Dana White wants that more than anything in the world. Dana White.
I mean, there's so many good, like, obviously you have the whole Khabib rivalry with Islam.
There's so many layers to Conor.
Volk is the only.
There's so many layers.
Volk is the only featherweight champion. Volk is the only featherweight champion that Conor hasn't beaten, and that is a fucking legacy-defining thing for him.
But it's also
and
for both of them.
Number one.
But it's not just Conor hasn't beaten. Volk hasn't beaten. The only featherweight champions.
True.
Alexander Volkanovski's beat Aldo and Holloway 3 times. Conor's beaten Aldo and Holloway once. They've never fought each other. The only 4 featherweight champions ever. Conor and Volk fight. Volk wins. Volk's beaten every featherweight champion ever. He's the featherweight GOAT. And I mean, he would already have cemented himself as the greatest of all time by beating Islam, becoming a double champion. Pound for pound number 1. But there's layers to that. And they don't have to fight at featherweight for it to mean something for multiple divisions. They'd fight at lightweight for the lightweight title. But it would also be like a featherweight defining fight as well. Who's the greatest featherweight of all time? It wouldn't you'd advertise it as such, but we already know the answer to that.
Yeah.
It's
but then also you can send Conor up to welterweight, have a crack at Leon. Assuming Leon like defends against Usman, which is a fucking big assumption. But I think it's a more fun. I think it's a more fun fight. I think it's a more fun fight than the Usman fight. I think it's a better fight than the Usman fight.
You want Leon to win, so he fights Conor. You want that to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I mean, you want Masvidal to beat Burns so he can fight Leon, and you want those stories to happen in the UFC. But Masvidal's going to lose, and Leon's probably going to lose too. So like the reality of the sport will set in very quickly. Yeah. You know, it just is what it is, unfortunately. But there's a lot you can do with Conor, and if Conor beats Chandler, it's a title fight, bro. It's a fucking title fight. What else do you do? I mean,
I'd like to see him versus Oliveira, because I think Oliveira is kind of the only other matchup in that top echelon of lightweight that he can win, because Oliveira is hittable and Conor does have fucking good ground and pound. I think that's like. I'm sure that's something that will be controversial, but like I do think Conor could.
I agree.
Oliveira.
I 100% agree, because Connor's a counter striker and one of the best ever at counter striking, and Oliveira's a pressure fighter, gonna come forward at him. If you don't think that actually helps Conor, Conor can't capitalize on that and land big fucking shots on Oliveira, you're mistaken. He can. He definitely can.
I think those are the two
southpaw
routes.
Stance and everything. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm with you. I don't think they do an Oliveira fight, but I do think it's a winnable.
I'd be surprised. But it's a good one.
If Islam it's a very big somehow. If somehow hypothetically he would have beat the greatest fighter to ever walk the earth, Alexander Volkanovski, this weekend, Islam Conor it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. And I'd want to see it.
Which fucking sucks for Beneil. Because I love Beneil.
I don't give
I've been on the Beneil.
Fuck about Beneil Dariush.
I've been on the Beneil train for so long. I fucking like Beneil Dariush. He's a bit weird sometimes in his interviews.
He is weird.
But I
he is
like him a lot.
super weird, bro. I like Beneil. Nothing against Beneil. Like, I like the guy. He's a nice guy. Would I have a beer with Beneil Dariush? Fucking oath I would. Seems like a really nice guy. You know, someone I'd want to hang out with. But we're talking business, Gaz? We're talking big
talking
business.
Conor McGregor. Sorry, Beneil. You're getting
I don't give a fuck about Beneil Dariush. Islam Makhachev, Conor McGregor. But to be fair, by then surely Beneil's fought for the belt. If Beneil is next,
surely he's not next. He's fighting Oliveira. I mean, it's not confirmed, but like the whispers are that he's fighting Oliveira, and that's a close fight. I think
it is a close fight, bro. That is a close fight. That's winnable for Beneil still.
It's winnable for Beneil, and if Beneil wins it, he has absolutely the best claim to the belt. Like, apart from Dustin has the best claim, sure, but also Dustin's been choked out by 2 fucking grapplers, and he's fighting. He'd be fighting. I mean, if he's not fighting Volk, then he'd be fighting Islam, and that's a terrible fight that no one wants to see because it's gonna be a repeat.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be Dustin getting laid on and choked again.
Maybe.
How fucking depressing.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I think Dustin could beat Islam. I think Dustin could have beaten Khabib. He could have. But... It's a big could have. Like, it's like a 1 out of 10 chance. But, like, it's not impossible for Dustin to have beaten Khabib. It's not impossible. Dude, I still am pissed about that Dustin Oliveira fight. I'm like, Dustin was winning that fight. And then Oliveira grabbed his glove and kept him down. And then gassed him with the top position he only got by cheating. Let's not pretend otherwise, bro. Let's not pretend. Like, I get it. Oliveira won, whatever. But he fucking grabbed a glove when Dustin had gotten away and was bringing it back to the feet where Dustin was piecing him up. And he only gassed when he was held down like a fucking moron after he held the glove. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not sold on the glove.
No doubt about it. Dude, it was a blatant glove grab. It was a
Dustin has since been like, I didn't think it was a glove grab. So... fucking like if Dustin doesn't care, I don't care. It's his fucking championship. If he doesn't care, I don't care.
Whatever. I'm just saying. I don't think you can ignore that. What I mean by it is whatever. Oliveira won, but what I mean by it is they fight 10 times. I'm saying Dustin can win 5. That's what I'm trying to say. Dustin can't not beat Oliveira. Is what I'm saying.
I'd put it lower. I would put it lower, but I think I
think Dustin's a better fighter than Oliveira. I really do think that. I think he's better than him.
Well, I don't know.
I think he's better than him. It took me a while to rate Oliveira, bro, because I've watched Oliveira from when he was shit. You know, it's taken me a while. Like when Anthony Pettis choked him out at featherweight with a guillotine easily. It was sort of like, ugh, this guy sucks. You know, that's what I remember of Charles Oliveira. And now he's come up and he dyed his hair blonde and he's just like killing everybody. I was like, what the fuck? What happened?
Yeah. It's his lightweight run was so cool, and I think still will be cool. I don't think he's completely fucked. Like, I think he's going to put on a good showing
not at
against
all.
Beneil.
I think he'll fight for the belt
he
again
fought
at some point.
badly against Islam.
He did.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see him fighting for the belt again. And like the rematch is compelling. I don't think it's like an immediate give Oliveira a couple more fights, but like,
yeah. Well, I think if Oliveira beats Beneil convincingly and Conor loses to Chandler, you could make the argument Islam's next in line.
You could, yeah. I mean, you mean Oliveira's next in line?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. Oliveira, you can make the argument.
You can. Fuck, I don't know what you do in that situation, really, because...
Why not? Why can't Oliveira have a rematch? Well,
because part of me wants Chandler Oliveira again, because that was fucking fun.
No. You don't do that again. That serves no purpose.
Fun. Exciting.
I mean, I'd rather see... Who does Dustin fight?
That's the thing, right? Is like, in that situation, do you just let Dustin have it and lose again?
I mean, I'd like to see Dustin Beneil fight, personally.
Yeah, but Dustin's not interested in it. Dustin doesn't care because he doesn't want to fight new people. He wants to fight Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje over and over again.
I get it. That's, to be fair, that's a good fight. Gaethje, Dustin too would be good.
Dustin
fighting the winner of Gaethje Fiziev would be good.
Fiziv's a fucking shout, actually.
Yeah,
like I'm not. Yeah, I forgot Fiziev existed in this entire conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fiziev. Fuck, that's the one. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you do Oliveira Benil, Dustin fights the winner of Justin Gaethje and Fiziev. And then you've got Conor Chandler there, and then you've got Volk Islam. So that's all the main top lightweights, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we want to talk about Max versus Allen / Jack Della Maddalena, or do we want to skip straight to co-main and main event? Given how
No. Let's talk about. Well, maybe we could skip Allen Holloway, which is a great. Well, we don't have to skip it. We'll just touch on it. I think that's a great fight. I'm excited for that fight. We'll obviously talk about it closer to the date.
Yeah.
Break it down. That's one of those fights we can break down. But I think that that's a good fight for Max Holloway, to be fair. I mean, just on paper, I think Max Holloway wins that fight convincingly.
I think Max Holloway wins it on paper for sure, but I think we don't know what he looks like after the Volk fight. I think that Allen's pretty good. Like from what I don't have a good enough read on Allen, but I think he's pretty good defensively from what we've seen. He's not the sort of guy that's like gonna let. He's not Cater, where he's not gonna let Holloway like pick up a pace and just keep that pace on him. I think it's gonna look more like the Yair Rodriguez fight.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be competitive.
It's probably a Holloway win.
Yeah, I think it's a Holloway win as well. I think it's a hard forward Holloway win, and I think Arnold will probably be better for it.
I agree. That's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah. Nice one.
So
I'm happy to break. Let's break down a couple fights on this UFC 284 card, not just the card.
Yeah.
Main. I want to talk about from the main prelim, the featured prelim, Tyson Pedro and Modestas Bukauskas.
Yeah, right. So you don't even know who that guy is.
I know. I've seen him fight, but I don't know how to pronounce his fucking name, bro. I don't know. Didn't he fight Jimmy Crute?
I have absolutely no idea, man. I like unranked heavyweights and not the fucking. Oh, they're light heavyweights. Unranked light heavyweights, not where I'm at with my fucking knowledge.
I'm pretty sure.
Let's have a look. Modestas.
Yeah, that was his last fight. He fought Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute knocked him out in the first round. That was his last fight in the UFC, which is in 2020. He's just been re-signed to fight Tyson Pedro because this is a late replacement for Tyson.
God, he's been rough recently, eh? Knocked out.
Who has?
Split decision. Bukauskas.
Oh, yeah.
Bukauskas.
So is Jimmy Crute, to be fair.
Yeah.
He's lost his last three. He's also on this card.
He is. Jimmy Crute is a guy that I got into right around the wrong time. I was like, oh, he's cool. And then he got his leg paralyzed by fucking Anthony Smith and then got clapped by Jamal Hill.
In like 48 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's only lost his last two, I should say. He got KO'd by Jamal Hill and then his last fight was against Anthony Smith at the start of 2021. So he hasn't fought since then, really.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh, no, sorry. The end of 2021, he fought Jamal Hill. You're right. That was the last one he got knocked the fuck out. And then, so it's been over a year. Yeah, he's training with Bobby Knuckles.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, he is. Well, we'll get to that fight in a second. But Tyson Pedro, I think this is... So, I mean, this is just... This fight is designed for Tyson Pedro to knock out Modestas.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the last two fights Tyson Pedro's had has been designed for him to just dominate. And he's done that with first round finishes of his last two fights. And I think this is more of the same. And then I think you give him a rank guy after 3. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably what they do. Which I'm happy with because light heavyweight is just get interesting people in the rankings.
Tyson's a great character, bro.
It's
great
so
character.
barren. Yeah. I just put him in with Dominic Reyes. Like I don't care. Just get him up the rankings.
Dude, Tyson Pedro could beat Dominic Reyes.
I think most people could probably beat Dominic Reyes at the moment. No offense to Dominic Reyes, but like I don't rate Ryan Spann that highly, and he got knocked out in the first round against him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that beating Dominic Reyes is like a big ask at the moment, and so like fuck it.
Yeah.
Sacrifice him to Tyson Pedro.
Yeah, Tyson Pedro.
If he wins.
Is I mean, I think Tyson Pedro will win. Tyson Pedro's always sort of travelled around, 2 ACL surgeries, come back. He's at City Kickboxing in Auckland now. His brother-in-law's to Tai Tuivasa, the Half Cast podcast they do together. They own Drink West, the beer brand, alongside Nathan Cleary, Australian rugby league player. And Tyson's a character, man. I'm telling you, the way Tai Tuivasa is a character, Tyson Pedro is a character too. Really good for the sport. He just has not been given that same spotlight and opportunity to show that personality through. I hope he keeps winning fights like this because he's going to be a star, bro. I'm telling you, he has all the makings of a superstar in the sport, Tyson Pedro. He's a funny dude. I love him. I've been a fan of him for a very long time. I was at his debut. He debuted in 2016. It was the Robert Whittaker, Derek Brunson card. Debuted against Khalil Roundtree and finished him in the first round. Submitted him. Got dropped in the first minute and then on the ground submitted Khalil Roundtree. And then Volkanovski also debuted on that card as well at lightweight and got a second round finish, I believe, ground and pound. And ever since both of the Volk and Tyson debuts, I've been big fans of them both. But I was more high on Tyson after that card. I was like, fuck. This guy's got the look. He's got the mic skills. He's got a personality, you know, and he's in a bigger division. I'm like, fuck yeah, light heavyweight needs a guy like this. And then he sort of had some bad losses.
Get knocked out by the ghost of Shogun Her.
That was tough, bro. That felt like a starstruck moment where I'm like, he was winning, and then he just looked like he got fucking starstruck and just got fucked at the end. Mm-hmm. Oh, it bothered me, man. Anyway. I've got Tyson Pedro here. Tyson Pedro, first round finish. That's my sense on that.
I don't have much of a read on it, but like just looking at the records, I'm also picking Tyson Pedro by finish.
Yeah, agreed. And the next fight, you do have Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Menafield, the Australian versus the American. I mean, both more or less identical fucking records. They're 13-3 and 12-3. Now, the difference is Jimmy Crute's coming off 2 losses, bad losses, and Alonzo is on a 4-fight win streak right now.
He's on a 2-fight. He lost a decision to William Knight.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he did too. Sorry. He's won 4 of his last 5, I should say.
Yeah, which is impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive. And his last 2 wins have both been TKOs, first round finishes. So he's got the momentum. Not that they're like big, super notable wins, but I mean, in this division, who is a notable win? Like, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Crute's definitely had like a better recent strength of schedule, at least in terms of name value. Like Jamal Hill's now the champion. That's the last guy he lost to.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And Anthony Smith's a title challenger. Like Anthony Smith's a top
Anthony Smith is like a perennial top 5er. So
yeah. No, you're right. I think Jimmy Crute's fought. That's where I'm sort of sitting in, because he's fought the more experienced guys. He's probably just going to have that in him, and he's had a long layoff. He's reevaluated, reset himself. He's good to go. But man, momentum's hard to beat. And Alonzo, 2-fight win streak, first round finishes. I think if Alonzo goes out hard and can't finish Jimmy might be able to show some grit he's been working on with Rob. Some grit from experience fighting those tougher, higher echelon guys. Maybe he can really, finish it in the second or third round. That's my prediction here. I'm thinking Jimmy Crute wins second, third round TKO.
I'm not gonna plant my flag anywhere with this one. I don't know enough about either of them. I'm gonna go with. I guess I'll go with Menafield just based on momentum.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I mean, I don't know enough about Menafield to be fair.
I'm not confident.
No, neither am A random heavyweight fight, middle of the card, Justin Tafa and Parker Porter.
A double knockout.
Yeah, honestly.
They both get tired and die from exhaustion.
There's no strategy here. There's no let's break this down and predict who wins. This is designed to be someone's getting finished in the first round. This is designed for blood. That's what this fight's designed for. I have no prediction for this other than first round finish.
I really do hate that the UFC does that when they don't have good fights.
Yeah.
That they're just oh, screw it. Unranked heavyweights.
Yeah.
That'll be a banger. Because it isn't a banger. Put some bantamweights in there. Put some lightweights in there. Because the unranked heavyweights...
Well, to be fair, they tried to have Kai Kara-France and Robert Whittaker on the main card. This is a fallen off card, to be fair.
They did, for sure. But I feel like there's definitely better fights you could have on that main card than 2 unranked heavyweights. Because the thing is, you get a 50% chance that they finish each other. And, that's fine. That's cool. The other chance that you get, though, is that they both fucking gas. And then you just have, 2 potato sacks swinging at each other for 10 minutes and doing nothing. And it's so frustrating to watch. And it's not fun for the casuals. It's not fun for anyone. Because the people who know what they're watching are oh my God, this sucks. And the people who don't know what they're watching are oh my God, this sucks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. It's going to be a bit of a shit show. But the crowd's going to be into it. And I think
there is an Aussie in there, so...
Yeah, it'll be finished in the first round. That's what I think. Either way it goes, it'll be a first round finish. No, let's not worry about that. I think these boys both know what their job is, and it's to go out there and either kill or be killed in that first round. That's your if you're a heavyweight on a pay-per-view and you're not ranked and you're on a main card, your job, this is a PSA, your job is to kill or be killed in that first round. If you hear the bell for the end of the first round, you have failed at your job. And you shouldn't be paid at all. You should get nothing if you can't do that. I'm joking, obviously. But also half serious about
right. But also, But that I think they all go in with that mentality. And then if they can't finish it, they're fucking tired because they've blown their wad in the first round. And so they're oh, what do we do now? And they sort of
fall over.
Tentatively...
You data 5,000 it. You have a cardiac arrest in the middle of the octagon. You know?
Now that would make it more entertaining. It's a sudden death.
Oh my God. Fucking data 5,000. Do you know about that? You know the legend of Kimbo Slice fighting data 5,000?
I haven't ever watched it, but I know kind of what happened. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'll never forget. I watched that live, dude. I'll never forget that bullshit. And just wetting myself laughing. At Data just falling over and them just literally not even touch each other, falling over, and then them stopping it and oh, dude, what a shit show! Funny. The press conference was hilarious for it too. The whole lead up to it, so funny. And then I'm pretty sure that's where they did Ken Shamrock and Hoist Gracie 3. I think it was on the same card as the main event of that, and it was just and then Hoist Gracie kicked him in the nuts and the fight ended in the first round. So, and they look 60 years old both of them. Anyway, disaster. Okay, featured bout of this card. Jack Della Maddalena versus Randy Brown. This is fight of the night written all over it. This is a certified banger. This is also tough one to call. Jack Della, who's on a 13-fight win streak, 3-0 in the UFC, all first-round finishes, Rookie of the Year last year, fighting who's now a bit of a UFC veteran in Randy Brown, who's on a 4-fight win streak himself, hasn't lost since he lost to Vicente Luque in 2020. I mean, Randy Brown's a bit of a dog, bro. He's been in the UFC a long time, since 2016.
I'm looking down his record, and the people, I don't know who Michael Graves is, but the people that he's lost to aren't bad. Bilal Muhammad, Nico Price, Vicente Luque, they aren't bad people to lose to.
No. Well, this is the thing. Either Jack Della Maddalena is a future top contender or he's not.
Yeah, right.
That's what this fight is. I know everyone's sitting here thinking, I'm thinking the same thing. It's Randy Brown's sort of a tough fight. He might lose. Is this too soon? And you're no. If Jack Della is who we think he is, he should beat the piss out of Randy Brown.
Yeah,
he should.
Right.
You know what I mean? If Jack Della Maddalena is as good as I think he is, you think he is, and a lot of fans think he is based on what we've seen of him, if he really is a future top 5 guy, potentially a future welterweight champion or title challenger at the very least, if he is that, this is no problem. He beats Randy Brown. He beats him well. He beats him first round, to be totally honest with you. Do I think he does that, though? Deep down, do I think he does that when I look at this on paper? I think... I think Jack Della puts him away in the first round. I think he beats the piss out of him. I think Jack Della is as good as I think he is. I'm sitting here. I'm thinking about it. I'm sort of coming up with this on the fly. I've got Jack Della first round. I think he puts him away late in the first. I think they'll have a minute or two feeling out process. By third, fourth minute, Jack starts landing hard, and then the last minute puts him away. I think it's clean work too. I don't think he gets hit a lot. I think he puts. I know there's a big height and reach difference, but I think Jack Della's good enough. I think Jack Della gets this done.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking it goes longer than you think it will.
Yep.
I think the guys that Jack Della's beaten early haven't been like great. I mean, they've not been like terrible at points, but like they haven't been great talents. I think
they made him fight that Russian wrestler. That second fight was that was a tough challenge.
It wasn't an easy one. For sure. But it was also like he defended one submission, almost got caught, but like and then just like battered his body to pieces.
Yeah. Well, I think he batters the body. If you don't think Jack Della's just bodying up Randy Brown in this fight, that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3 minutes of just attacking the body. And then he sort of start putting combos together, body, head, body, head, body, head. That's how I think he puts Randy Brown away. I think it's against the fence. I think he body head, like 1-2 to the body, hook to the head. That a couple times eventually drops him and puts him away against the fence is how I see it going.
I'm going to go Jack Della round 2.
Okay.
And I'm not doing that confidently.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, you've got to ride with your guys, bro. At some point, you've got to be like, if he's as good as we think he is, he's going to fucking beat the shit out of Randy Brown. And if he's not, then we shouldn't be talking about him like we are.
Yeah, but all I think a lot of great fighters have those fights on their journey that...
I get it. I don't think Randy Brown's that fight, though. I don't think Randy Brown's that fight.
But then he starts getting into the rankings, After this, it's fucking like Li Jingliang, It's that sort of echelon. Vicente Luque type guys.
Oh man, I think Jack Della beats Vicente Luque.
I'm feeling that.
But I think that's an easier fight. I get what you're saying than Randy Brown stylistically.
Yeah.
Stylistically,
right.
I get the styles make fights, and I get that Randy Brown's not an easy matchup style-wise. But I think Jack's boxing so good, and he's someone that really does mix up to the body well, and that's what you need to do against these tall guys. And Jack also even described, made me feel better. Just this week he was talking about him. One of his sparring partners, I believe his brother, has a very similar size and build to Randy. So Jack goes, I'm very used to fighting guys built like this. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it says a lot when your training partners are built a certain way. You get used to styles. There's people in my gym that styles I'm used to and I know how to fight against because I'm used to training with them.
For sure.
Like, it goes a long way when you know the style and you can feel comfortable right away. And if he's saying that, I'm like, dude, this guy's as cold as ice this week. Jack Della's got this in the bag. I really feel that way. And I like Randy Brown. He seems like a great fucking guy. And he's a great fighter. But I think Jack Della's going to do some clean work here.
Yeah, you've won me over. Jack Della round 2.
Yeah. You feeling better about it?
I'm gonna plant the flag. I think it'll be hard. I think he'll have moments where we're like, oh, he looks.
This is his hardest fight today.
Like, I think Randy Brown will find some things in the fight that other people will look for in future fights, if that makes sense. I think it's going to be one of those where, like, because there's nothing that we've seen of Jack Della, at least that I've seen of Jack Della, where I'm like, oh, these are obvious weaknesses. Like, his grappling isn't, like, superb, but
his defense is really good. He's got the grit. He's got the Aussie grit, bro. He's got the fucking ticket to go.
Until he's fighting guys like Usman, until he's fighting the wrestlers of that division, of which there are a lot. Yeah, I think he hasn't really shown anything like particularly rough with the striking. He's looked fucking phenomenal each time. Yeah. And he's also just overwhelmed people and made them not want to strike back because they opened themselves up. as a body hitter, like, he is just piecing you up and freaking you out the entire time. And I think that Randy
It's his
Brown
hometown, bro. It's his hometown. It's not just in Australia. It's in his hometown in Perth.
Yeah, right.
This is a big coming out party for Jack Della Maddalena.
And I don't think Randy Brown's going to make it easy for him, is all I'm saying. I think Randy Brown will find a couple things which people will then look to as, how do I beat this guy?
Okay.
But I don't think he's going to do enough with it. I think it's just going to be like, oh, he didn't check those.
He'll land a couple shots, is what you're saying. He'll land a couple good shots.
Yeah, but I think there'll be like a pattern to them, you know?
Yeah, I get you. Okay, I'm with you.
That's what I'm going to go with. I think it's that sort of fight for Jack Della.
Fair enough. Okay. On to the co-main event of the evening, the interim featherweight championship, the number one contenders belt. Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett.
I've got a lot to say. I'm writing something on this at the moment.
Okay. Do you want to go? Well, maybe I'll give you my. I don't have a lot to say about this.
Yeah. You go for it, and then I'll talk out.
I think Yair Rodriguez wins, and I think Yair Rodriguez wins well.
Yeah.
In this fight, I think Josh Emmett's a great fighter. I think Yair's a great fighter. I think stylistically, Yair's very good. I think Yair's way better on the feet, especially with distance control and being able to roll with punches and see things coming. I don't think Josh is going to land those big power shots that he's going to do. Josh Emmett's fast as fuck, but so's Yair, bro. Yair's so fast. And what we saw in that Max Holloway fight, I think Yair's leveling up every fight more and more. I think Yair finishes Josh. I think he finishes him in like second, third round. I think it'll be a close first round, feeling each other out. I think by the second, Yair will land a few. And I think he's just going to land something out of nowhere. I think it'll be quite timid and quite close until Yair lands something hard and fast. And then it'll put Josh away. That's my just 2 cents on it. You're writing something on it? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? You've probably been paying way more attention to this.
Yeah, I've this past couple of weeks, I've watched all their fights.
Have you? I'm just going off on vibe of just the hit. I haven't watched the fights recently. I've watched all their fights over their careers in the UFC, but I just haven't watched them recently.
I think I agree with you. I think that it should be a Yair Rodriguez win. I think there's things that Josh Emmett does that will freak Yair out a bit. He's got a really nice right hook to the body, which he sets up with his overhand. And Yair has been someone that slows down, and also has been someone that the Holloway fight is a prime example of this, where he comes out and he's got a high guard and he's got like good defensive habits. And you fast forward to round 4, round 5, when he's got tired, he's got out-volumed. Not that Josh Emmett's someone that's going to out-volume him, but he's someone that's going to hit the body. Get Yair Rodriguez tired, and he's someone that will start to lose his defense a lot and will start running around looking to spin. And that's the sort of place where Josh Emmett can catch him with an overhand. If Yair Rodriguez is running back in a fucking straight line with his hands by his sides, which he did a lot against Holloway, that's the one place where I'm like, oh, Emmett can get you there.
That's a great pickup. The way Yair exits exchanges late in fights is not defensively sound.
No. I think that, again, like the one thing that really piqued my interest is Yair Rodriguez is a dedicated and vicious calf kicker. He fucking slams people's calves and makes them fall over when he does it. You know, it's nasty and it looks like it fucking hurts. And Josh Emmett is someone
fucking worse than a calf kick, bro. Fuck.
Josh Emmett fighting Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos beat the shit out of Josh Emmett's calves. Emmett is someone that bounces a lot. He likes to like run in with his overhand. He's like very movement heavy. He's got quite a wide stance. Doesn't check kicks very well. And Rodriguez is also someone that I don't think is going to be discouraged if you check a couple kicks. And he also kicks so much that when you see him lift his leg up, you're not like, oh, that's a leg kick.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a big thing for him. And I also think the way that Emmett rushes in, which he does do, feels way too much to me like the zombie thing. it feels like like Rodriguez a lot will spin for like a spinning back fist, an up elbow, a spinning elbow, or like a spin kick. You know, that's the sort of thing that I think that Emmett will probably find himself running into.
Yeah,
if it doesn't knock him out, I think it'll drop. He's not got that. Like Holloway got hit by like 3 or 4 as he rushed in on Rodriguez.
Oh, I think Yair's going to land some cool, crazy shit that's going to drop Emmett. Because like you're saying, what Max took, it's Max fucking Holloway.
Yeah,
exactly. Built different. Josh Emmett ain't that. It's like, you ain't that guy, bud. Like, that's that moment. Maybe he is. Maybe Josh Emmett proves us all wrong and he is that guy. I just don't think he is.
But he's also, what is he, 38 now? 37?
Is he? Fuck me.
March 1985. He's almost 38.
Wow. I didn't realise he was that old. He looks that old, but I didn't realise he was.
Yeah. So it's like, as a featherweight, you're on the part of your career where you're going to start declining. You know, you've had hard fights against Ige and Keita and Burgos. You're not like... So
and let's be honest, Calvin Kattar won that fight, but that's my
sense. You know what? That's a fight where I'm not sure on. I'm kind of happy either way.
Yeah.
But
I'm not.
Yeah, I think Rodriguez will catch him at some point.
Me too.
And I think he'll kick the calves, and I think Emmett just isn't gonna. A lot has been made.
I think he's the better fighter. I just think he's the better fighter overall.
A lot's been made with Emmett of his, like, people say he's just going to Frankie Edgar him. He's going to take him down and sit on top. And I'm like...
Dude, that was like 8 years ago.
Oh, but like... Okay, but like Jeremy Stevens did that to Yair Rodriguez. He got fucking taken down and held down for good periods of time by Max Holloway. Like, I think Yair Rodriguez still suffers on bottom position. I think he's way too... If he can't submit people... I think he's just like, sound, I'll sit here and elbow them, which is great until people start hitting back. But I pose the question, like, when has Josh Emmett ever held anyone down like that? He's not fucking Frankie Edgar.
No.
I don't think he's a wrestle boxer. He's a Team Alpha Male wrestle boxer, but he's not like that top heavy.
No.
He gets down on Shane Burgos after knocking him down, and Shane Burgos just kicks him off and is like, come on, let's get back up. And that's kind of the story of Josh Emmett's takedowns. He'll get someone down, hold him down for 30 seconds, and they'll get back up and re-engage. I think he's way too happy to stand.
That's interesting.
So I don't see this narrative where he's gonna sit on him and bash his fucking head in.
No, you're right.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I think I'm with you, mate.
So I'm picking Yair. I'm picking later finish. I think it'll be round 3, round 4.
I like it. Okay. I'm going Yair early. I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I mean, I really feel like it's gonna be early, but I'm gonna say 3rd round.
Yeah, that's valid.
3rd round. He's chopped the leg about. Emmett's slowing down. I think he's going to catch him early. 1st round. He's going to land some big shots. I think Josh is going to have damage on his face and be bleeding by that 3rd round and then get finished.
Yeah, I can see it. You know, he's someone that's been knocked out before.
Yeah.
He's someone that's taken fucking heavy shots. He's like, Calvin rocked him with a 1-2.
Yeah.
And I think Rodriguez hits harder and hits nastier and with more variation than Keita does. So I think Yair takes it. You know. I struggle to see Emmett. He's not like a crisp pocket boxer. He's not someone that will like get in range with Yair and box him up from like boxing range, which is what someone like fucking. Let me see who fought. Who's Yair fought? Both my tabs are Josh Emmett by accident. So yeah, like someone like Holloway, people that have given him trouble in the boxing, Chan Sung Jung, you know, who will like stand in front of you and box you and won't give you that range. Obviously, like Zombie lost that fight, but he was fucking winning it until the last second of the fight.
Yes, quite literally, the last second of the fight.
And Emmett isn't that guy. He's not someone that will like box you at range. He's someone that will get in, get out.
Yeah, I'm with you.
With like big shots. So I just don't see that happening, sadly.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah,
main event
interim.
Main event time. The undisputed lightweight championship on the line. Pound for pound, number 1 on the line. The undisputed UFC featherweight champion and pound for pound number 1 fighter in the world, Australian Alexander the Great Volkanovski, fighting the pound for pound number 2 undisputed UFC lightweight champion of the world, Islam Makhachev. One of the biggest fights in history, arguably the biggest fight in history in terms of stats, what it means for the sport. Pound for pound 1 versus 2 never happened before, other than arguably DC John Jones. This is huge. It's huge for the sport. It's huge for Australia. Mm-hmm. I only have one way I can, will, and must go, which is Australia's about to see their first champ, and the greatest of all time in the history of MMA will be cemented as an Australian, as it should be, as it makes sense to be, and that's Alexander the Great Volkanovski. I think it's going to be the hardest fight of his fucking career, and I think he's going to win a decision, and I think it's going to be like a fucking close decision. I think it's going to be 40-47 Volkanovski. I think Islam's going to get him down, and Islam's going to have rounds. I think there's going to be rounds where Islam's on top. There's at least going to be one round where Islam's on top most of the round. But he's not going to be able to get the damage he wants on Volk, and Volk's going to make it so hard for him, and Volk will get up from takedowns. But I think there will be one round, maybe later, and Islam's not going to be able to do much with it. It won't be like 10-8. But there'll be people online going, it should have been a draw. That was a 10-8. And it's like, well, he didn't do anything. And then there's going to be rounds I think Volk's going to get good positions, including when he's getting up and in certain grappling exchanges. And I think when they're on the feet, I think Volk's going to be really smart defensively, and I think he's going to land just enough volume with the leg kicks, especially that inside leg kick when he switches stances and throws the 1-2 and exits with that inside leg kick. I think he's going to land that with success. His speed's going to be a factor for that, and I think he's going to get those points and sort of bank some rounds in. I think if this fight's finished, it's going to be on the feet for Volk. It's going to be on the ground for Islam. That we do know. I think that's pretty obvious for everyone.
Yep.
I think it's a Volk decision. I think it's a close fight. I think it's a hard fight. I think I've got anxiety for 30 fucking minutes for it. That's what I think is going to happen. I think I'm going to feel sick the whole time.
I'm going to feel sick, yeah.
I literally feel sick even talking about this fight. I'm so nervous for Alex Volkanovski because it's all on the line. He's wearing the green and gold of the nation on his trunks. He's carrying the weight of the nation on his shoulders. He's fighting on home soil. He has to win, Gaz. Gaz, he has to win. He can't lose to Islam.
Sadly, he won't, though, will he?
You think you're picking Islam? You're picking Islam.
I'm begrudgingly, and I think as a little bit of cope, picking Islam. I like.
Are you just telling yourself so you can't be disappointed? Expect disappointment so you're never disappointed.
I fucking hate you. I fucking hate like Volkanovski. All the people who are making me believe that it's possible. Because I almost see it. I almost see it.
You do. You don't almost see it. You do see it, don't you? You see it. You see it.
Thing is, right, if anyone's going to go up against those odds and win, it's fucking Volkanovski. There isn't a fighter who is as smart, as adaptable, as like genuinely fucking gritty. Like the Ortega submission escape gave me all the confidence I need that he's got one fucking hell of a heart, that man.
He's the grittiest man on earth. His ticker is without question. He's as true blue gets. That's Alex Volkanovski. I don't think Islam can do what you think he can do with him on the ground. Because he's not gonna like Ortega snapped into submission positions. Ortega snapped into, because that's what Ortega does. He sees things. He can transition to a submission on the feet. No one can do that. Islam's not doing that. Islam takes you down, gets to a position, works to position better than anybody other than Khabib. Like, that's what they do. That's their style. And then once they're in that position, works for a submission. No one's ever done that to Volk. Even if they get him down, he gets back up. And as soon as Volk was out of submissions, he was immediately in dominant positions against Brian Ortega.
Oh, but he's not going to do that to Islam, though,
No. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to do that in reverse and get ground and pound Islam. No way. I'm just saying he's going to be able to maneuver his way out of it and get back to the feet. And land elbows in the clinch, land leg kicks to slow him down. I think Islam's going to be bewildered on the feet here. I really do.
I agree.
And I think Volkanovski is not like Charles in the sense of where Charles didn't respect Islam's stand-up and was also so wary of the takedown that he, like Conor did the same thing against Khabib, got outstruck based on the fear of the takedown. I think Volkanovski's mindset is, don't be afraid of the takedown, expect the takedown, welcome the takedown, we'll deal with the takedown when it comes. If we're on the feet, we're focusing on the feet. We're not sitting here waiting for him to take me down. We're not doubting ourselves. We're just going to fight our fight and try to land strikes and not get struck. I don't think Volk's going to fall for the striking of Islam. I don't think Volk's going to be afraid of the takedown. I think he's going to go with the flow, be present in the moment, because that's how he fights. That's how he's always fought. I think that's his X factor in this fight against Islam, is he's going to take every position as it comes. He's got the fight IQ to do so.
Yeah, he has said, like, you're going to see me be aggressive on the feet. You're going to see me go for him on the feet because I know that's my area. Like, that's where I'm going to win, he said. So, like, I like that mentality from him. What I struggle with is just, he's not got that takedown defense. I just don't think, and he's been working on it, sure, and like, the thing is, I just don't think that within 3 months of a training camp, or like maybe 6 months, I don't know, I don't think he's gonna be able to have done enough to put him up. If he had Aldo takedown defense, if he had Rob Whittaker takedown defense, I'd be picking him.
Right.
I just don't think that he's got that, and I think that Islam's gonna win rounds, and I think that Islam's gonna kind of fucking hit his head a lot on the ground. Sadly, I think.
How do you think this ends? Do you think it's an Islam finish or an Islam decision?
I struggle. I think if it's a decision, I think there's going to be points where it's close to a finish, and then Volk like bucks off. I can kind of.
The worst case scenario is a first round finish to Islam. That's the worst case. Yeah, nothing could be worse.
For sure. But I get the feeling Volk will win rounds, and I think it'll be an admirable performance. Dude,
the longer the fight goes, the better it suits Volk.
Yeah.
When you're in the fourth and fifth round, I'm telling you, it's going to be harder. Volk's going to be 100%. He's the Terminator, bro. He's going to be there, ready to go. Yeah. And he's going to be trying to get points on the feet.
I am 100% a Volkanovski fanboy. I fucking love that guy. I think he's the best fighter out there. I've been calling him pound for pound number one for a fucking while.
Yep.
You know, I think he's still pound for pound number one, no matter which way this fight goes.
I get what you're saying.
I think that, like, obviously pound for pound one is on the line. It's part of the storyline. No matter what happens, like, if Islam wins, he's getting that title like it's a fucking belt, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, realistically, Volkanovski is the pound for pound number one, irregardless of this.
I agree with you. I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
But I just think Islam's going to be too big, too strong. He's going to sit on him. Like, Volkanovski will get up a couple times, but he'll take some damage each time he goes down. Which is really sad to say. I think Volk's too
positionally sound. I just do. I don't think Volk's getting. I just don't think Volk's gonna get take the damage you think he is on the ground. I think he's gonna be so hard to hold down. I really do. I really, really do. You're talking about a prop from rugby league, the best base for MMA, rugby league. You've seen it with Robert. Do you want to know why Robert Whittaker's takedown defense is good? It's because rugby tackling. It's not from wrestling. Rugby teams, rugby players have wrestling in their program. Like any rugby league club or rugby club has wrestling coaches. That's what they do.
Yeah, sure.
And you got Volk, a big guy, going up against fucking heavyweight men, tackling the shit out of him his whole upbringing. This guy is not a wrestler. He's a rugby fucking league player. And a rugby league player, a prop. He's not getting taken down by nobody.
Stop making me believe it.
He's not getting taken down by fucking Islam Makhachev. Dana doesn't even know what his name is. How the fuck do you expect him to be Volkanovski? You know what I mean? If the president of the UFC can't even remember his name, what do you want me to say? The only thing I can say, which is he's going to lose. But I think this will be the hardest fight of Volk's career and Islam's career. I think this is a close fight. I think it goes all 5 rounds, and I think Volkanovski wins. I'm planting my flag in that. And I hate that because I just want Volk to finish him in 30 seconds. But I feel like it'll be 30 minutes of anxiety. That's what I think it'll be. I think it'll be me wanting to throw up for an hour. The half an hour before the fight and the half an hour of the fight. And then if he loses, the half an hour post-fight. Probably, I'd say half an hour, hours, days, weeks, maybe months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It'll take a while to get over. And we'll be back here next week with another episode and I will be in tears. You know? And don't get me wrong, I'm biased. I'm an Aussie. Volk's my boy. I'll never say anything and I'll never pick against him. I don't care if he's fighting Francis Ngannou, I'm not picking against him. I am biased. But don't get it twisted. I know how hard this is. I know how fucking unlikely it is that he does what I think he's going to do. But I just believe.
Yeah.
I believe Volk's the guy. And a part of the sport, a part of why this sport's so good, Gaz, a part of why I'm here fucking talking about it, is there's moments and you get to believe. Because once this fight happens, and let's say, hypothetically, Islam just dominates him, and we then live in the world where Islam's better than Volk, whatever, blah, 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 Volk is not that guy. A part of this sport is the journey. And right now, I get to believe Volk is that guy. And until I see the fight, in my head, he's the guy. And I want to believe it. I choose to believe it. I believe it. Volk wins. Volk's going to double champ it. GOAT after this. And if anyone's going to do it, it's Alexander Volkanovski.
I'll agree with you. If anyone's going to do it, it's Alexander Volkanovski. Not if anyone's going to beat Islam, but if anyone's going to move up a weight class against those sorts of odds, against a bad style matchup for him, and win well, it's Volkanovski. Yeah. There is no one else that can do that sort of shit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That being said, don't think he's going to do it, sadly. And I'm just saying that as like a self-defense mechanism to like not cry.
I understand.
On
part
Saturday.
Part of me wants to be with you so I don't get disappointed. But I have to. I'll dude, hold the line, bro. You got to fucking back all the boys. Aussies, Kiwis, I'm with you. I'm backing the boys 100% always. Like, I don't care about the odds. That's what we've built on, bro. That's the underdog mentality. That's the Aussie way. That's what we do. This is what we like. This is what I want to see. This is what Volk likes. I want to see it, bro. He's on fucking home soil, wearing the green and gold, pound for pound #1, the undisputed champion of the featherweight division of the world, fighting the biggest challenge anyone could ever face in Islam Makhachev. Like, this is crazy that this fight's happening. I can't wait for this fight. I can't wait to talk to you about it after the fight. And I just hope and pray that Alex Volkanovski makes history and beats Islam Makhachev. All right, Gaz, that's it. UFC 284 this Saturday night, I guess, for the American Sunday day for me in Australia.
Sunday for me.
early morning for you in the UK. Can't wait. UFC 284, one of the biggest cards of the year. We'll be back next week to break it all down, which I can't wait for. And then I'm sure you'll see our reactions and things like that on social media. Follow us everywhere. Both Gaz and I, our Twitters and Instagrams will be in the description, as well as the Switching Stances Twitter, Instagram. It's a community page, breaking news posts, community polls, things like that, all on there. We'll be interacting there, fight breakdowns, all that sort of stuff. Follow us there. And then you can know when new shows, videos, or anything is coming out on the network or on anything else. Appreciate everyone for supporting us for this first episode. If you like what you saw, what you heard, be sure to subscribe. Rate us on all podcast services on YouTube. Give us likes. It really helps. Comment for the algorithm. Push us up. Let's get this show going. We appreciate the support. And if you're someone that's come from past shows that isn't into combat sports, and you're like, maybe I'll give this a shot. Give it a shot. Come along in this journey with us. Love anyone and everyone involved. And in the future, we'll get sort of fan questions, things like that, and topics involved in the episodes. But we just wanted to kick it off. Guests. Mate, and get down the road, we'll 100% have guests. But with any podcast, any show, any sort of video series, it takes a while to build an identity. And I know that you and I, over time, we obviously already have a great rapport, but we're going to build our own identity for what the show is. And then we'll start throwing guests in there and community stuff. So there's a bright future for this show. We're both all in on it. So we can't wait for you all to come on this journey with us. So thank you, Gaz. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we wrapped it up?
No, I'm pretty happy. Looking forward to next week.
Amazing.
Just being able to talk about all this and knowing the sadness that will come.
No. Next week, I'm going to be fucking sitting here draped in the Australian flag with fucking... I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars to get 2 replica belts sitting on the other shot. No, I won't do that. Fuck that. But the Australian flag draped on my shoulder as Jack Della Maddalena gets the win, Tyson Pedro gets the win, and Alexander Volkanovski becomes the double champ, pound for pound, #1 GOAT of mixed martial arts. Thanks everybody for tuning into this episode. Again, like, subscribe, follow us everywhere, and we will see you next week for the breakdown post-fight of UFC 284. Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.